Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. This is Darren with Komprise. I'm here with Paul Chen, Senior Director of Product Management. Today's topic is Komprise Intelligent Data Management 4.0, Global Data Management with Multi-Site Controls. So let's quickly say hi to everyone, just to show that we're real people here, Paul, out in the world. How you doing?
Morning, Darren. Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Good. You ready to dive in and show us some software? We're going to spend most of the time in demo. So you all set?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. Good stuff. Great. Well, welcome. As I mentioned, our agenda really is going to be focusing on what's new and showing you what's new, because we think that's the most interesting. And I do encourage you, we have chat panels on the side. You can ask us questions. We do want to make this interactive, but our goal is to make this fairly concise and get right to the point. So let's talk about today's storage situation. I probably, I'm preaching to the choir here a little bit. What you all deal with every day. You're under tremendous pressure to ensure data protection, deliver high performance applications, and at the same time, you're operating with reduced budgets, despite massive data growth. So what we see when we talk to customers about is this problem of silos, right? Your storage is typically managed in silos. And enterprise IT organizations are struggling to manage each vendor's cluster of storage separately. So how do you make good investment decisions while your data is growing exponentially and you don't have a full view of your multi-storage, increasingly multi-cloud infrastructure? That's really the problem. That's the challenge that we set out to address at Komprise, right? So, before Komprise, the situation I just described, with Komprise, our goal is really to deliver that visibility across these silos. When you have visibility, you can see a total picture of your resources. You can understand the benefits and implications of your decisions, right? So really, that's what we've set out to do. And what we're going to talk about today is taking things to the next level with Komprise 4.0. So going past, getting the single view and then being able to take the right action, or what we say often is right sizing, right? Moving the right data to the right place at the right time. With 4.0, we've introduced multi-site support. So Paul, why don't I bring you in here just to set us up here and explain to us why this is so important.
Sure, Darren. It goes back to that first slide that you showed. People today have data that they're managing across multiple different vendors, products, multiple different types of storage, and in multiple physical disparate locations. What Komprise Multisite adds to the product with our release 4.0 is the ability for a single Komprise director to now manage storage across multiple sites. So this gives you the ability to set local policies at each site, and I'll show you that in the demo, but then get a global visibility at the single level to get roll-ups of everything that's happening in each site, as well as the ability to search across all your data across all your sites. And that's pretty exciting.
Great. One of the things I've seen in talking to a lot of our customers is they started out using Komprise, often fairly departmentally. And now there's been an increasing push, with more use cases, from tiering to archiving to migration, replication, to use Komprise across the enterprise, right? This is where I think this word global is so important here. Getting this ability to really get visibility across these sites is going to be key to the expansion and this broader, analytics-driven data management strategy that many organizations are striving towards achieving. So let's, before we jump right in and show you, what's new, Paul, I think there's a lot of folks on today's call who might be newer to Komprise. There's a mix, right? There's a lot of our partners and customers listening in to learn what's new, but we also have a lot of folks who don't know Komprise. So before you jump right into what's new, maybe you can set the stage of what they're going to see in some of these key points here.
Sure. Quick overview of what Komprise Intelligent Data Management does in 30 seconds is, again, we scan all the data that you have. Wherever you have your storage, you point Komprise to it. We examine it, analyze it to give you information so you can intelligently then manage that data. And some key points about our solution is that there are no storage agents or stubs involved. There's no interference to your hot data path. Komprise is never in the way of your data. We help you archive cold data, but hot data remains exactly accessible to your users in the same way it always was. There's no technical scaling limits to the product. We have customers managing tens, hundreds of petabytes of data using Komprise. There's no change to user or application access. As I mentioned before, the hot data remains accessible to them in the same ways that it is today. Cold data also looks the same to them. It's just that Komprise will then go fetch the data wherever it's been archived and serve it up to the user or the application. And there are no silos. Traditionally, we've handled storage across a single site, making sure whatever multiple vendors' products you're using, whatever multiple clouds, your single director would give you visibility there. With Komprise 4.0, we're expanding that capability now to handle all your silos across all your geographic locations.
Fantastic. So I'm starting to get some questions, but I think we should dive right in to the demo, start showing what's new, and some of the questions will be answered, I think, as you go through it. But then we'll take them on towards the end of your demonstration.
All right, let's jump right into the live product then. To our customers and partners who have been using Komprise, this user interface will look familiar. When you first log into Komprise, we place you on the plan page, which is sort of your dashboard to your plan archiving, copying, and confining. This is the same interface that you're used to seeing. You set up your plans by defining what shares you want to take action on, and then setting policies. You'll notice there's a small drop down here. This is your indication that you're dealing with multiple sites. And this gives you the ability to set specific policies on a per site basis, because each site has different storage, it has different data, has different data users, and will need different data management policies. So in this particular example, on the Atlanta site, they're using a 3-year archiving policy. So data that hasn't been accessed in 3 or more years is being archived to Google's cloud platform. And this is a policy based on the data users who say, well, we're using data for quite some time, but after 3 years, you can archive it. It's easy now to switch to see the Boston site. Here's the plan that's being executed by Komprise on the Boston site. It's a 2-year archive. So the data users in Boston have said, you can be a little bit more aggressive with our data. You can archive starting with 2 years and older. And if we go all the way down to Santa Fe, this is perhaps the marketing site. Marketing collateral changes very frequently. They've said anything 6 months or older is out of date. We've already updated the messaging, the positioning, the logos, etc. So anything older than 6 months can now be archived. So with multi-site capability, from a single director, I'm now managing multiple sites with local policies. The same is true for migration. Komprise allows you to migrate data from file servers to other file servers based on if those older file servers need to be retired or if you're going to repurpose them. This also needs to be handled on a site-by-site basis. So in Santa Fe, they're currently handling 3 migrations. Phoenix is handling, I think, 4, 2 of which are completed, and 1 is nearing its final, so getting ready for cutover. And in Atlanta, they're handling a bunch of migrations, several of which have completed, 1 of which is paused, a couple others in final. So you can see on a per site basis, it's very easy to manage the data and the data management with local policies. If you then go to the dashboard, this is where you start to see the power of global visibility. The dashboard by default will show you a single site. So if we look at the Atlanta site, we can see there's 13.4 petabytes of data under management in Atlanta. They have a plan running. It's the 3-year archive that we just looked at. 4 petabytes have been transferred, and there are 6 active migrations, 2 of which completed, 1 paused. So I'm getting an overview of the Atlanta site. Similarly, you probably can guess how this works. Over at Santa Fe, 11 petabytes under management, 2.9 have been transferred. If I check this box, I now get a global view of all the site's activity from a single pane of glass. So I can now see I've got 56.5 petabytes of data in my organization being managed by Komprise, 654 million files. Remember those numbers. Transferred a total of almost 8.8 petabytes of data, saving us lots of money and freeing up a lot of storage. I can link quickly to any of the plans that are active on any of the sites, and I get a roll-up of all the migration activity across all the sites. So again, local policies, local execution with global visibility. Now, again, we're managing 56.5 petabytes. The deep analytics feature allows you to search for specific files or file sets across your storage. We've had this feature for some time now. It was pretty exciting to allow you to search for all your data across all your storage at a single site. Now we can show you we have the ability to allow you to search your data no matter where it is across all your sites. So suppose you're looking for some project data, you know that it lives in certain file servers in Atlanta, a couple servers in Phoenix, and maybe it's on some specific shares in Santa Fe. You can now target where you want to search for the data. You could also search fall. You could say, I really don't know where these files are. I want to find wherever these types of files live. We'll show you exactly how many shares we're searching from. You could then set other filters such as last access date, archive date, etc. The same filters you've always had in Komprise Deep Analytics, now the ability to search those files across all your storage, no matter where it is, across all your sites. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's really, really powerful. Are you finding, so there's a lot of adoption of the deep analytics capabilities? Are people who may be using Komprise for some time, are they all digging in and developing new use cases for the deep analytics?
Oh, absolutely. We've had customers using deep analytics in a number of ways. Just a couple examples. Customers have wanted to be able to find what we call zombie data that's no longer owned by employees who have left the company. They leave data lying around, and it's often a good way to find that data and clean it up. We had a customer who used deep analytics, found that data, and was able to save millions of dollars just in the first year. And said they told us it more than paid back the investment in Komprise and then some. And just last weekend, we had another customer who was facing an emergency compliance situation. They needed to also find files of a certain type. It was a Friday night when this actually cropped up. We helped them by showing them how they could actually tune deep analytics to find that data. They worked over the weekend, found the data, and by Monday morning, they had averted a compliance issue disaster. So they were very pleased with that result.
That's fantastic. It's like the needle in the haystack finder across all these systems and sites. Because most organizations might have a good view into the one silo or into one system, but seeing across, cloud, backup, storage environments, that's really powerful.
Exactly.
We are getting a couple questions. Let me just throw a few at you now. I know there's a few more things you want to show, but a good one came in. Could I use this to manage edge sites where I only want to keep subset local and pull bulk of data to main data center or cloud?
Yes, absolutely. You can use this multi-site director to manage those sites. And in fact, you can use Komprise to help you pull that data back to a main data center or into the cloud. And then once the bulk of the data is gone, you can either keep the site active and still look at whatever data is remaining, or if you want, you can consolidate sites after you're done managing that site and you've migrated all the data out. You can then shut down that site.
Awesome. Another one, I'm in the EU and have strict data locality rules. Could I use this to find and move data between data centers?
Yes, you can. Currently, when you set up your multiple sites, your storage will be affiliated with specific sites. So Santa Fe has 4 file servers. Atlanta has its set of file servers. So if you want to manage data, say, between sites, for example, if you wanted to migrate data between Atlanta and Santa Fe, you could add the Santa Fe server to your Atlanta site temporarily. It would then show up in the Atlanta site. You could then manage the data as if it were local to Atlanta. And then once you were done with that management, you could then remove that server from the Atlanta site.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's it. I think that's going to be a common use case, a common question. Thanks for asking it. Another one here, more sort of generally about Komprise. In the past, we made storage decisions based on projections from application teams. Can I use this to get actual storage utilization data?
Absolutely. That's what Komprise is all about. Our mantra, our slogan is know first and then move smarter. The knowing first is the analytics that we provide. So when you point your storage to Komprise, we'll run through all your file systems. We're looking at all the files very quickly, and we'll give you breakdowns of how hot or cold the data is. So you have analytics already of more importance than you've had before, showing you who's accessing or what data is being accessed. And then we'll show you analytics on the usage of that data. So you can see what types of files do you have across your storage, what types are being primarily used in sucking up the storage. Interesting to always look at file sizes. Is the data that you have primarily large files or small files? That can help you make intelligent data management decisions, as well as who owns the data. So this can help you with show back or charge back. If you've done it by department, you can see which departments are using the storage most and present them with that information.
Yeah, I love the sort of that built-in TCO modeling that you're doing there. Can that be customized?
Absolutely. In fact, we show you the projected 3-year savings since we've scanned all your data. And as we continue to scan it, we build models behind the scenes of what your growth projections are. We show you that growth projection. The yellow curve shows you what your growth would be without using Komprise over time, up to 3 years. And the blue line shows you how much you would save if you instituted a plan with this policy using Komprise. And if you edit the policy and change things around, you can see in real time, for example, how the curve is changed. So as you get more aggressive on your archiving policy, the difference widens. The amount of money and space that Komprise can save you gets wider and wider.
Fantastic. Just back on the dashboard, I know it's really slick. There's you guys have done a lot of updates to the dashboard. Is there anything here that folks who maybe have been using Komprise in the past will be happy about?
Yes, in fact, the bottom half of this dashboard page has been redesigned. We know that the customers are using migrations more and more, so we had an operations graph that we found people were not using as much, and we replaced it based on customer enhancement requests to show more summary information about their ongoing migrations. And customers also wanted to know which sites had active plans with now the global roll-up. If you had a site where the plan was stopped or paused, that would show up here. And very quickly on the dashboard, you could see, oh, why was the Boston site stopped? You could then quickly click to it and find out what's the issue there.
Fantastic. So that's a lot on the multi-site side. I know there's another set of enhancements, updates, innovations with this release. Do you want to click through them first here, and then we'll go back and show it?
Sure. So the 4.0 release is the theme is the multi-site support, but it does have some other features and enhancements. I'll mention two in the span of time we have left. One is an enhancement to how we handle migration and replication audit logs. So you've seen a customer may have multiple migrations running, and now with multi-site, they could have migrations running at multiple sites. Currently, for convenience, we store the audit logs for each migration on the destination share, so that along with the data that's being migrated, you can have the audit logs easily at hand. We've had some customer requests to provide a centralized audit logging capability so that all audit logs would end up in one central server. That makes it easier for them to handle audits, say 5 years from now, if an auditor comes in and says, show me all the migrations you did in 2017 at that site. It's easier to find them. So we now have the ability to provide a centralized audit logging location for all the audit logs. It can be an NFS or SMB share. It can be an S3 bucket. We've also enhanced the audit logs themselves to include the source and destination checksums and their timestamps. Auditors have told us they want to see those checksums that they do match and the timestamps that they were generated. Now, of course, Komprise was always doing these checksums, and in fact, no file would be migrated unless those checksums matched. So already by default, if the file was migrated, you were guaranteed the checksums had matched. But now we're just logging that information so that it's patently obvious to an auditor. And I can quickly show you how setting up a custom audit log location works. You quickly go to the System Settings tab. This is where you handle all the settings. There are some global settings as well as per site settings. And if we're on the Atlanta site, I can set up an audit log location for the Atlanta site, and I just provide either S3 or NFS and SMB share, and then set up that site for logging. And then from that moment on, every migration, every replication would use that site. The way that you can find where the audit logs are is simply in the details for any migration. So we'll show you the audit logs location currently going to the destination share. If I were to set another centralized location, it would show me where the previous logs were and where they are now being stored. So it's easy to find for any migration where all the audit logs are being stored.
Question, Paul. Could I use the object lock S3 bucket for the audit logs?
Yes, Komprise does support S3 object locking. There is a requirement, though, on the provider side that if you have object locking on, you need to use versioning. So the audit logs will be written, and of course, if some malware virus attack came and tried to encrypt and lock up your data, they would be actually creating a new version that would be locked, and your original version underneath would still be pristine and safe. And that's a good idea to help protect your audit logs from any tampering.
Yeah, pretty hot topic these days. That's good. Thank you.
Sure.
What else have you got for us?
And I showed you this live, so we'll move to the next slide. Another enhancement that I have already shown you as well, but just to point out, when you're using deep analytics to search for all your data across all your silos, with Multisite, you can now do that across all your sites. Komprise is now highlighting the amount of data that's been archived. So similar to the color coding that we use on Plan, you'll see the purple bars indicate how much data has been archived for each of the types of data that you have found. So when you run a query, we'll tell you how much data has been found. You can see exactly where it is, which shares, and we'll also tell you how much of that data has been archived. So this is a very good way to find out, for example, show back and charge back. You can see from the owners of which shares, how much data they've archived. You know how much that data is costing you in the cloud, and then you can present either a bill if your internal organization can support it, or at least information to those customers saying, this is how much storage you're using. Is there a way to improve that?
All right. Well, we want to try to keep these to a 30-minute update. So why don't we just segue into the timing and how people can learn more and get started with some of these new capabilities.
Sure. We have customer previews ongoing now. The general availability will be next month. So please do contact your customer success manager or account team if you have one. Otherwise, just contact Komprise and we can talk with you at how to get started.
Are there specific use cases you're seeing, or not use cases because you already described those, but kinds of organizations that you think are ideally suited for the initial release of the multi-site capability?
Yes, there are customers we have today who are using multiple sites, and it seems that their strategy is to leave those sites with their directors up because they're running, they're in production, they don't want to disrupt it. They plan to take our 4.0 release and stand up a new director and then start expanding from there. So we're looking at customers who would be creating new sites on their on a new multi-site director, and then over time, when they feel comfortable, then consolidating their existing other sites into the new multi-site.
Okay, that's helpful. So a couple more questions that came in. I do want to let people know there's you can go to komprise.com/what's new for a detailed blog post and actually a recorded demo of Paul walking through multi-site. One question I wanted to ask is about platform consolidation. How can I use Komprise for vendor/platform consolidation? Is that a common use case that you're seeing?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the great features of Komprise versus the competition and other storage or data management solutions. We're vendor agnostic. We've always been vendor agnostic. We help you manage your data no matter what NAS or cloud platform it resides on. With the 4.0 release, we're just expanding that to now handle your storage wherever it lives across multiple sites. And that helps you get a single global visibility view through a single multi-site dashboard and a single multi-site director across all your data, which is a feat that no other product can do today on the market.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I think with that, we'll wrap it up. I'd like to thank you, Paul, as always, a smooth, really insightful, helpful overview of what's new, what's coming. Thanks to the product team behind this release, a lot of great functionality. For folks who are new to Komprise, you can go to Gartner Insights and see some of the reviews. For folks who are current customers, we definitely appreciate when you do post these. We share them internally, so they mean a lot. So thank you. Any final thoughts, Paul? I'll give you the last word.
I'm very excited about this release. We've been planning multi-site for a while. We've had customers been asking for it, so it's exciting to see it come to life, and I'll be watching to see how customers use it.
All right, let's go with this presenter mode and just say goodbye here in real people. All right, thanks everybody for joining. We look forward to working with you, and have a great summer. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you all.